Can you hear me?
Yes, Gaurav, I can hear. This is Sri.
Okay, and can you see the screen also?
Yes, I can see and I can hear both.
Okay,
Thanks.
good. Okay, so let's start. So let me just give you the overview of what we discussed last week. So last week we continued with the changes in the procurement. We talked about material ledger. We talked about the output determination. Although there is an output determination, I need to show you one scenario. So maybe what I'll do is, anyways, the output determination has to be discussed during the billing document also. So in that topic, I'll cover the entire scenario of purchase order as well as the billing document. Okay, so we discussed about output determination. We talked about the simplified sourcing also during that session. Okay, now in just the remaining topics which are remaining from the procurement point of view. So just to give you the update as of now. So if you remember, I told you that in this course we are going to talk about 4 different courses which are offered by SAP. One is S4H01, which is Introduction to SAP S4HANA, which will talk about the general overview of what exactly SAP S4HANA is, what it is built upon, what some basic introduction about HANA, basic introduction about Fiori, basic overview of all the simplified processes in SAP S4HANA. That was the first course which we started off with. And second course was SAP S4HANA Innovations in Procurement, which is S4PR01, S4PR1. Okay, S4PR1 is what? All the innovations in the procurement. So we already started off with the changes or innovations, whatever are going on in procurement, material ledger, simplified output, business partner approach. These are some of the topics which were from the PR1 itself. Okay, so entire, if you see the entire course content of PR1 is something which you can see in the slide, the current slide which I'm sharing. Okay, so this is talking about the entire innovations which are available in procurement. Okay, so major things we covered. There are some 1 or 2 things which we need to discuss today, and then our PR1 will be completed. So I hope you already have the documents with you. S4PR1, S4ST1, S4MA1. So at least you can start going through PR1 and try to understand each and everything. We completed almost all the things into that. So once this session is over, I'll request you to use this entire week to go through S4H01 and S4PR1 in order to find out if there is anything that you want to be clarified. Okay, so now let me talk about the remaining things in S4PR1. So this is the entire content which is available in this innovations to procurement. So according to this certification document, or according to this course, what SAP is trying to say is, in procurement area, okay, in sourcing and procurement, the innovations are divided into these 4 parts. So they divided the procurement, entire procurement cycle into 4 parts. One is operational procurement, okay, which means you are requisitioning to creation of purchase order. Okay, so they highlighted the areas like when you talk about the operational procurement, it consists of the sales service requisitioning, requirement processing, purchase order processing, service purchasing, purchase order collaboration, and procurement analytics. So these are the topics which are part of operational procurement. And then they highlighted what are the changes in SAP S4HANA compared to ECC. Okay, so I'll explain you all these things. So operational procurement, which means starting from creation of purchase requisition to finally converting the purchase requisition into purchase order and sending the purchase order to the vendor. This is operational procurement. Once the purchase order has been sent, the MIGO and all, that is also something which will come under the operational procurement itself. So MIGO, goods receipt, whatever inventory transactions you do, they are part of operational procurement. Once the goods receipt is done and you receive the invoices from the supplier, So that part is covered here, invoice and payables management, because this is something which is the responsibility of purchasing and warehousing, while this is something which will be more logically responsible for the accounts department to process the invoices and payables. Okay, so second part is what are the innovations in invoice and payables. Third one is, which is part of operational procurement, but they divide it, is sourcing and contract management. So we already discussed about some of the changes in the sourcing, how sourcing has been simplified in the last week, and the contract management. So when you create a contract, okay, it is, again, as I told you, it is a part of operational procurement itself, but they divided it separately. And what they are meaning to say here is, for contract processing, creation of contract, changing the contract, complete processing of the contract, they provided some Fiori apps which are make which are going to make the life easy for the end user. And finally, there is a new thing, supplier information and master data. Okay, this is in order to segregate your supplier into purchasing categories. What exactly is that? We will discuss today. Okay, so I hope you got these things, like what exactly, how they have divided these four parts. Now let me talk about this boxes, which is you can see the enhanced plus Fiori UI, then Fiori UI, then no change. So if you see here, there are four things. One is no change. Okay. Second is Fiori UI. Third is enhanced. And fourth is enhanced plus Fiori UI. So in short, when we are saying there are simplifications in the process, so there are three kind of simplifications. One is no simplification. Okay, so that cannot be considered a simplification. Now remaining simplifications are of two types. One is either only Fiori app is provided, otherwise most of the processes are same, there is no change. Second is enhanced. Enhanced means some functionalities are added. Okay, it is not only Fiori, it is not only better user interface, but there are some new functionalities which are added, that is the enhanced. Okay, so let's start me from the first thing, because we already completed this operational procurement. Self-service requisitioning. What is self-service requisitioning? The capability for the end user to create the requirement. Okay, so if I am an end user and if I want to request for a particular material, that is something what I am going to benefit it out. So I am going to get new Fiori apps first of all. Okay, so I have a capability of using the Fiori apps, which is simple to use. I can select a material or a service which I want, which will ultimately go to the purchasing department. So Fiori app we already understood, but what is enhanced? How it is enhanced here? How self-service requisitioning is enhanced? Okay, so let me give you the background. In SAP ERP, whenever you are asking, or whenever a user want to create a requisition, what are the available options? Okay, so they will go to this transaction ME51N, and they have only two options. That is, either they will provide the material number if they know that, okay, we want this material to be purchased. In case of operational procurement, they will go for material directly, or maybe for service, or maybe the third thing will be they don't know whether the material is created or not, so they'll just enter the text. Okay, so for example, if I want a laptop, I'm a new user who joined the company and I want a laptop. So let's say this material is not available in SAP, they will just write in the text screen that, okay, I'm creating this requisition for laptop. So this is something which is available in ERP, in our SAP standard ERP. Now on top of that, if you are already using, let's say, Ariba, or if you are already using some part of SRM, which allows you to do the self-service. Self-service means what? Self-service means you can go into the catalog. Okay, just for example, let's say in some of the companies, if I am a user, I don't need to directly go to SAP screen to create a requisition. What I'll do is, my company has provided me one link. okay, which is self-service requisitioning. It is not connect. It is not something. It is not a SAP screen. I mean, you go to this particular link, and there you will find a catalog. So you can see a laptop available there. So you can say, out of the available catalogs, catalog includes a laptop, a mouse, a keyboard, or maybe a table, or maybe the chair. So you can decide from there what you want to buy. It is like Amazon. Okay, so if you want to buy something, you can see it, how it will look like, and you can click here and you can say add to cart. Okay, and when you order or when you create a request, then automatically it will generate the PR in SAP system. Okay, this is kind of flexibilities which are already available in Ariba, which are already available in your some part of SRM, which can be utilized. So that is something which is enhanced now. Why it is enhanced? Because Ariba integration has been enhanced. So now you don't need the uh, connectivity to Ariba separately because it is natively integrated. And using this OCI connector is used to create a catalog in your system. So using SAP Fiori apps and by native integration with Ariba, you can integrate the OCI, which means your users can just go into that particular app. Okay, they will be able to see different kind of catalogs which are available. They will decide, okay, I want to buy this. So instead of showing them the purchase requisition screen, which is very difficult to understand, what should I write? If I'm a user, if I am a normal purchase requisitioner, then okay, I know what fields to enter. But if I am a new user, I joined the company for the first time, so it will be easy for me that I can see, okay, I can go to the link, I can say, okay, I want to purchase a laptop, add to cart, and okay, request, and automatically it will generate the purchase requisition in the system. So that is the kind of thing they are meaning here enhanced. Why they are saying enhanced? Is this something which was not available in SAP ERP? It was available in SAP ERP with Ariba integration, but now this Ariba has been part of native integration. That is the reason they are saying it is enhanced. Okay, so functionality wise, nothing new. Whatever functionality was available, that is available now also, but the native integration of Ariba is called as enhanced. Coming to the second thing, requirement processing, which is same thing which we discussed, creation of purchase requisitions if you want to create it manually. So what is the new thing here? New thing is now you have SAP Fiori apps like manage purchase requisition, which is again making it easier for the user to convert the purchase requisitions into purchase orders, assign the source, assign the vendor. Okay, so that is something which is making it simple to use. That is the only thing in case of requirement processing, that it has been added into SAP Fiori, which means you can use Fiori UI to create your requirements. Then it is purchase order processing. Again, the same thing. What is the new thing here? Purchase order processing remains same, but there is a new Fiori UI using which you can easily create a purchase order. In case of service purchasing, there is no change. Okay, it is exactly same as it is. Only thing is, if you remember, we discussed about a new material type which has been added, SERV. That is the only difference. Otherwise, no change in the way how you create a purchase orders for services. Okay, if you are using the normal purchase order, you can still use SAP Fiori app to create a service purchase order also. Finally, purchase order collaboration and procurement analytics. So let me talk about purchase order collaboration. What exactly this means? Again, it is saying enhanced. Purchase order collaboration means the way in which you send purchase order to your vendor. So we already discussed there is some enhancement in that. Okay, we are going to talk about BRF. We already discussed about BRF plus. We are going to use that functionality in future, via which the way in which you communicate or you collaborate with your supplier in terms of purchase orders, that will become easy. Okay, not only that, when we say collaboration is a terminology which is coming from, again, Ariba. Ariba has the capability. Let me tell you the scenario. So once you create a purchase order from your system, if you are sending this purchase order via let's say print. Okay, so you are physically sending this purchase order to the vendor. So you created a purchase order today. It may reach to vendor, let's say after 3 days. Now, after 10 days, supplier is sending you the material and you are saying him that, oh, I asked you to send this material in 7 days. Why are you sending in 10 days? So he can tell you, oh, I received this purchase order only uh, 2 days back, for example. Okay, normally not now, because nowadays there is a complete tracking when you receive, they need to sign and all. But these are the possibilities in manual sending of purchase order. They can say, oh, I received the purchase order very late. What can I do? Okay, let's say you configured the email setting in the system that as soon as a purchase order is created, email will be triggered to the vendor. Now, 3 days are gone, there is no reply from vendor. You checked with him, oh, I have not received email. Okay, so these are kind of possibilities. They can say we never received that. But now with Ariba collaboration, it is like you can connect your system, your SAP system with supplier's SAP system, or maybe some other system which is using. Which means when you create a purchase order, you can trigger via Ariba that this purchase order immediately will shoot to customer's SAP system. Okay, and it will give you the complete trail when exactly he has received. Okay, not only that, whenever the supplier will receive the purchase order, again there in his system also there is a capability that it will automatically convert into the customer order. Okay, maybe the not the final one, maybe it is not released, but yes, it can be converted automatically. So this is making the process easier. Okay, not only in terms of purchase order, whenever you are going to receive the invoice from the supplier. So let's say supplier has created an invoice in a system and you are connected via Ariba. So as soon as the supplier invoice has been created, as soon as the customer invoice has been created from supplier point of view, it is customer invoice, right? It is sending, supplier is sending the customer invoice to you. So as soon as he created a billing in his system, it can automatically come to your system as a supplier invoice. That is also something which can be collaborated, which is part of this invoice collaboration enhanced. Okay, so this is all using Ariba. I'm not saying this is directly available in your current system, but why we are saying it as enhanced, the reason is because of the native integration of Ariba. Okay, so purchase order collaboration is enhanced. The way in which you send the purchase orders, it has been simplified. Even if you are using Ariba network, then it can be automatically triggered, automatically sent from your system to customer system with complete details. Finally, the procurement analytics. Okay, so there are some new Fiori apps which are used for the reporting purpose. Okay, you can use that apps for reporting purpose. And why it is enhanced? Enhanced means this reports or this analytics are directly coming from SAP ERP. Just for one example, I'll show you some of the transactions, some of the apps which are relevant to analytics. So for example, today in ERP, if I want to see the report which is showing me graphs and pie charts, okay, let's say I want to analyze my vendor. I want to see, let's say, how much purchase I have done and according to some category. Let's say, for example, I want to identify total, let's say total, how much is my total purchase, and out of that purchase, how much is for goods and how much is for service, for example. This is my KPI. I want to segregate my total purchase into goods and services. Simple thing. This is my KPI indicator, which I want to see on daily basis in real time. Now, in order to get this information, that too also not only I don't want the figures, I want the charts in the form of charts. This is something which was not possible in ERP. In your current SAP system, you can see different kind of reports, only the figures. You cannot create charts and all. That is only possible if you are using BI reporting. Now, BI reporting is not something which is directly available on ERP, right? What you need to do if you want to create the BI reports, you need to move the data from your current ECC system to BW, and then only it will be updated with the real-time information. Now with SAP S4HANA, as I told you, BW, some part of BW and BI is already embedded within S4. You don't need a separate BI component. If you are using, that is fine. There is no harm, and they are not saying to stop it. But definitely in future, when everything is available in a real-time system, why will you go with separate BI installation? Okay, so no separate BI installation is required. All your reports, which are currently available in a separate BI system, they will be available directly in your main system. Okay, so there is no need of moving the data from ECC to BW to perform the reports. That is something which will go away. Today also, there are some reports which are directly giving you this bar charts and pie charts automatically in the system. So that is something they are calling it as a procurement analytics has been simplified. I don't need to go into, I don't need to log off from current ERP system, go to BI, and again in BI I can see, oh, this is the data which is not updated properly because today's job has not been executed, which will move the data from ERP to BW. So that kind of things, they are simplified, which means if you create a transaction now and you go for the analytics report, it will show you the real-time report. Okay, that is something is called as procurement analytics. Coming to invoice and payables management, invoice processing, the way in which you create a supplier invoice has been enhanced. Let me show you one or two screens. Okay, so I'm back into SAP screen. So if I go to Fiori, first itself is supplier invoice processing. Okay, so you can see here, there are different kind of apps which are available from the supplier invoice processing point of view. And they are only talking about that. There is no enhancement. Okay, there is nothing enhancement here. It is providing you Fiori apps to process these transactions. Okay, so here, this is a new app, create supplier invoice. Okay, so in create supplier invoice, mostly the things are same, like you provide the invoice date, you provide the invoicing party, company code, posting date, you provide the complete amount, and you provide the reference number. This is same as Miro, right? Most of the things are same. Here you can come down and you specify which purchase order, against which purchase order you are doing the Miro. Okay, and click on enter, it will automatically bring all those lines. Now, exactly how it was bringing earlier. The main difference if you find here is attachment. Okay, so normally this attachment was handled separately. In ECC system, if you want to attach your PDF file or maybe scanned copy of the invoice, it was handled separately. It was not directly possible in Miro. Now, and this is not only for Miro, this is for the normal FI invoice also. So FB60 or Miro, whatever transaction you are using, you can, instead of using that old traditional transactions, you can come into this create supplier invoice screen and you can upload all these things. Okay, so let's say for example, if you don't want to use this app for some reason, you want to stick to existing normal Miro screen. So that is also available, create supplier invoice advanced. You can go to create supplier invoice advanced. As I told you, wherever in Fiori app, if you see advanced, it doesn't mean it is a new app. New app will be only available without any this one without any description of whether it is advanced or new one. Okay, but advanced means it is the copy of existing screen in SAP. Okay. Apart from that, you can release the blocked invoices directly, like SAP has provided this app which can be used to release the blocked orders. Okay, so there are multiple apps which are provided by SAP in terms of processing the invoices and payables. Okay, so whatever screens you had in ECC, there are some simplified and there are some copies of the same screens which are available on Fiori, which means instead of using the traditional GUI, you can directly use SAP Fiori apps. So that is the only thing in invoice and payables. If you see here in invoice and payables, Sorry, can you see the screen? Just confirm if yes.
No, we lost your screen sharing.
Okay. Yeah, can you see now?
No. Yeah, now we got it, but it's showing the PPT, the simplified
Yes, sir.
procure to pay.
Yes, PPT.
Okay.
Okay. So this invoice processing has a feature of Fiori UI. Otherwise, there is no change in the way how you process the invoice. Account payables, no change. What do you mean by account payables? Account payable is once the invoice is received, there are a lot of things like making the payment. Okay, but again, I don't know why they put it no changes, because for payments also at least they can specify Fiori apps. There are Fiori apps available. So account payables as a functionality, there are no changes. There are no we cannot say there are some changes in the configuration or anywhere otherwise, but definitely from the user interface point of view, Fiori apps are available for the account payable manager also, which can be used to make the payment, to clear the lines. Okay, so that all things are available from the Fiori point of view. Finally, the invoice collaboration. I already discussed this while discussing the purchase order collaboration, which means as soon as the invoice is created, the billing is created in the supplier system, it can automatically come to your system, and it will automatically be created as a parked supplier invoice. Okay, it will not be posted, because it is just allowing you, without wasting any time, automatically it will be parked. You can check and you can post. Okay, even if your supplier is not using Ariba network. Okay, let's say you are using Ariba network, that is mandatory here. Your supplier is not using Ariba network and he cannot send the invoice automatically to your Ariba network. In that case, in Ariba, there is another kind of functionality, which is automatic scanning. Okay, so currently, if you are in terms of ECC, if you are not using Ariba, obviously, there are some third-party tools. There are some third-party tools which can be used to scan the invoice, and these scanned invoices are available directly in SAP system as a Park document, which you can convert into the actual invoices. Okay, but if you are already using Ariba, in that case, Ariba itself has a capability of scanning the invoices. So even if your supplier is not using Ariba, he can send you the physical copies. These physical copies, using Ariba network, you can scan it and it will be available as a Park document in your system. Okay, that is the invoice collaboration, but obviously with Ariba. Coming to sourcing and contract management, although again it is saying no changes, but we already understood there are some simplifications in the way how the source is assigned. Okay, so that is something which simplified source we discussed about. And from contract management point of view, again it is saying there are some Fiori apps available. So if you see in the system also, without any change, only some new Fiori apps are available which can be used to process the contract. So purchasing contract, purchasing contract processing. So these are the apps which are available in order to process the purchasing contracts. Okay, so from sourcing and procurement point of view, these are the two things. One is new apps and second is simplified way of handling the sourcing. Just 1 minute. Okay, can you see again the screen?
Yeah, we lost for some time and then came back. When you were
Okay.
showing the Fiori app, we lost. I lost the
Yes.
screen.
Okay, you were not able to see that?
No.
Okay. Can you see now Fiori apps?
Now, yes.
Okay. So I'm talking about this different apps which are part of purchase contract processing. Okay, so if you want to process the contract instead of using the traditional screens, you can come here, you can process the contract, but the functionality remains same. Okay, whatever you were doing, it will be same. Only thing is, instead of using the traditional transactions, you can use SAP Fiori apps to create the contracts and process the contracts. I think when I'm changing the screen, it takes some time to appear. I don't know why. Normally it doesn't take any time. Okay, confirm once you are able to see the PPT again.
Yeah, I can see now.
Okay. Okay, and the last thing is supplier information and master data, in which there are two things: classification and segmentation, and supplier evaluation. So first, let's talk about classification and segmentation. Now, this classification and segmentation, this was never available in ERP. In normal SAP ECC, this was not available. What do you mean by classification and segmentation? So you can divide your supplier into different categories. Just for example, goods supplier and service supplier. This is a very small example, but depending upon the industry where you are working, there can be different kind of categories that you can give to your suppliers. Okay, so based on the nature of materials you are purchasing, you can divide the supplier. And if you want to know whenever you are seeing the reports, you can see the reports according to that categories. Okay, so how my goods suppliers are performing, how my, let's say, service suppliers are performing, how much expenses I'm making in terms of goods procurement, how much expenses I'm involving in case of service procurement. That all kind of things can be done. But the thing is, how this category can be done, which is the field. Okay, if I want to divide a supplier, what can I enter in the supplier master to distinguish this? So this is something which was not available in ECC. But if you have worked on SLM, supplier lifecycle management, which is a separate, it is like the separate component. In SLM, this thing was possible. If you are using SLM functionality, in that case, you can actually segregate your supplier into different purchasing categories. Okay, what are purchasing categories? The same thing I told you. So you create different purchase category. Let's say, for example, one for goods, another for services. And whenever you are creating the supplier, you'll specify, okay, this is my goods supplier and this is my service supplier. Not only that, in the supplier master, you can enter some more fields also, which you want to see in the reports. Let's say, for example, this is my critical supplier. This is a supplier which is not very important for me. So let's say if I want to see the reports only for critical suppliers, because in my supplier master, I have written that, okay, this supplier is critical, it will show me only the reports for those suppliers. If I want to see the report only for goods supplier, I can select it a purchase category. I want to see only the suppliers with purchase category goods. Okay, that will give me that kind of reports. So this is something which was available as a separate component under SLM. Now this has been incorporated directly in SAP S4HANA, same component. Okay, so which means using some of the apps. Okay, this is not something which you'll be able to use using the traditional GUI, not at all. If you normally go to SAP Easy Access through this path, you'll not get this functionality. Why? Because as I told you, whatever new functionalities will be added now, all those functionalities will be directly added on Fiori. You cannot use any screen in the traditional GUI to assign the supplier to purchase categories, or assigning the nature of the supplier into the currently SAP Easy Access screen. That is only available on Fiori apps. Okay. SPRO point of view, if there is new configuration required, that will definitely come in traditional GUI, right? Because SPRO screens are still available in traditional GUI, and whatever new things will come, they will be included in SPRO definitely. So for example, let me show you which app I'm talking about and how can I divide my supplier into different categories. Okay, so I'll go to the group of classification and segmentation. Okay, you can see I can create multiple purchasing categories according to my requirements. Let's say, for example, if I want to create a new purchasing category, okay, I think configuration is not done. What it is saying is, now we need to assign the users first, then only it will allow. Okay, so you can create a purchase category here, okay, in this screen. And after creating the purchase category, you can go to, let me close this. Yeah, you can go to this display supplier list. Okay, and here you can enter the supplier ID and you can specify purchasing category. Okay, so what you are doing is, I'm not saying to add these fields in the supplier master data using transaction BP. BP will not allow you to add these fields. In order to add this classification in supplier master, you need to come on to this Fiori app only. Okay, so you can specify for a particular supplier whether this is my preferred supplier or not. Okay, so why we are indicating these things, why SAP has provided these indicators, it is just to segregate your suppliers from the reporting point of view. So if you want to see the report only for preferred suppliers, if this tick is on, it will only show you the suppliers which are preferred. If you click on strategic partner, okay, from the reporting point of view, you can still go and, okay, you can find out the reports. I want to see the report only for the vendors who are ticked as strategic partners. Okay, qualification level, you can create different qualification levels. Let me show you. This is my qualified supplier, or whatever is the status for this supplier, whether this is level 5 is complete or not. So you can define different kind of suppliers. So for example, I want to see the list of all the suppliers who are ISO, let's say 9001 certified, just for example. Okay, so that kind of reporting can be done using this supplier classification. And you can assign the purchasing category here. So if you create goods as a purchasing category, service as a purchasing category, you can assign those purchasing categories here and you can use it for the reporting. Okay, this is only for reporting purpose. If you want to divide your supplier into different classifications so that you only want to focus at one single, let's say only preferred suppliers or only qualified suppliers, then you can use this in the reporting. So this functionality was never available in SAP ECC system. This was only available if you are using SLM, Supplier Lifecycle Management. The last thing is supplier evaluation. Okay, what is supplier evaluation? So every now and then, today also, when you talk about procurement department, they want to know the status of the supplier. Status in terms of, like, they want to have a feedback about a supplier, how he's performing. So that why the supplier evaluation is required? Because you want to make sure that who are my trusted sources. For example, there is one supplier who provides me goods before delivered, before committed time. So he says, okay, let's say if you order the goods, I'm going to provide you in next week, but on this Friday itself, the goods are available. So there are this kind of suppliers who always deliver before the commitment time. There are some other suppliers which will tell you to deliver the goods in this week, but after 2 weeks also, when you follow up with them, then only the goods are received. Okay, so you need to segregate your suppliers to make sure that, because you are dependent on the suppliers, okay, you want to make sure that in case of critical purchases, you are only creating the purchase order for the trusted sources. So this is a normal process. Today also you have this process of supplier evaluation. But in ECC, how do you evaluate the suppliers? Can anybody tell me in ECC, how do you evaluate the suppliers today? Mostly it is a manual process, right? In ECC also, there may be some small reports that you can get, which will tell you, okay, whether the supplier is doing good or not based on the delivery promise date and what date he has actually delivered the materials. But it is not foolproof. So mostly you are dependent on the manual task. So what you do, you ask for the feedback. You have some supplier evaluation form. So let's say every monthly, quarterly, whatever is your policy of company, you send it to your purchasing department to check whether this, just to provide the feedback about the supplier. And then you, based on that, you decide whether this is a trusted supplier or not. Now, again, if you are using supplier lifecycle management or even SRM has this capability that you can evaluate the supplier based on the questionnaires. Okay. Sorry, SRM doesn't have this functionality. Only SLM has this functionality that you can evaluate your suppliers by creating the questionnaires in the system. So you can create different questionnaires in the system. I'm talking about the system. Currently, it is manual. If you talk about ECC, I cannot create a questionnaire in system. I am creating this manually forms. Okay, and I'm sending it to my teams through mails. I'm getting it through mails. I'm consolidating all and finally preparing the report. But now all this process, creation of questionnaire, getting the inputs from your teams, feedback from your teams, and consolidation, that can be done automatically in the system. That is called as a supplier evaluation. So if you see here in supplier evaluation, if I go to home page, supplier evaluation, manage questions. You can create what questions you want to ask to the users. So let's say I created 10 questions. Okay, now these 10 questions I want to put in one questionnaire. Okay, now let's say for example, I created 10 questions. Out of that, 5 questions are relevant to delivery and 5 questions are relevant to, let's say, the behavior of the supplier. So let's say my audience is different. The behavior I'm checking with one department and the delivery I'm checking with the warehousing team. Let's say purchasing team and delivery team. I'm going to get this information from 2 different sources. So when I'll create a questionnaire, I can create 2 different questionnaires, each having 5 questions. Okay, and then I'll assign this questionnaire to my users. Okay, so that they can see this questionnaire in their inbox. When they submit the results, it will be consolidated and you can see this in monitor responses. What are the responses in the, again, in the graph and that format. So whether you can decide whether which supplier is trusted and which is not. Okay, let me see if I can configure this, because only thing is Fiori, some of the Fiori apps are not working. If this is working, I'll show you here. Otherwise, maybe I'll show you some video which will tell you exactly how these things are done. So this is a completely new thing. This was never available in SAP ECC. Okay, this is something which is only available from Fiori point of view, which is just to monitor the supplier. Now, how many of customers they are going to use this functionality? That is something which is, I think, not more than 10%, because most of the customers are already using manual things and they have their own kind of policy where they are deciding their own questionnaires and all. But definitely going forward, when you will tell them, okay, this is a functionality which was never available in ECC, they are going to like it. Today, we don't know how many customers are using, but definitely in future, if this is a kind of functionality available, most of the customers will go for it. Anyone has any experience in supplier evaluation so that you can share your knowledge? Do you think this is a good tool which can definitely help the companies? Anyone?
The vendor evaluation initiative.
Yeah, sorry, can you come back?
I mean, typically it's a vendor evaluation
Mm-hmm.
where certain factors such as price, quantity, delivery, quality, these kind of things are fixed. And for these items, there is a certain weight factor is given
Yes.
based on that number of deliveries, how many times the deliveries are on time. That gets certain weight. And price, of course, is it in a certain price range or not? Quality, how many times the product, had a good quality, or how many times it was returned poor quality, etc. So everything had its own weight factor. Based
Mm-hmm.
on that, certain calculations are set in the system and comes with a certain final number, gives a rating for each vendor, whether to use that supplier or vendor in future or not. In a nutshell. But
Right.
the questionnaires, those type of things, like you said, yeah, I haven't seen. I think it's out of the box. The vendor, the buyers still have to send these kind of forms manually and get the information from various departments. That
Right.
looks like it is all built in now.
Yes. So yeah, you are right. So we can give the different weighing factors. Like for example, if there are 10 questions, every question will be having the weightage. So for example, let's say most important for me or for the company is two factors. One is whether the delivery is being on time, and second is the quality of the delivery. So let's say most important or most weightage will be given to these questions, and then some additional questions which are definitely having some weight but not much. And based on the inputs that I get from the departments, we can monitor and we can say, okay, this supplier is having the highest rating, so maybe we can decide next time whenever we are going to purchase anything, the first preference should be given to this vendor. And as I shown you the classification tab also, it can be okay if the ratings are higher for a particular supplier, that will be treated as a preferred supplier, which means automatically, even in case of reporting also, if you want to see the report only for the preferred suppliers, that will be picked because the tick is on in the classification tab. Okay, let me see if I can show you some of these things when actually like in this particular server. If not, definitely I'll be able to show you some video kind of thing. So I hope you got the idea. I'm not expecting that you like you can be able to do this transaction in SAP as of now, but still, if you got the idea, I'll show you how exactly these things needs to be handled. So I'm just giving the overview as of now. Okay. So this is what you will find in the certification document. So this document is around 140 pages. Sorry, 112, only 112 pages, SAP S4 PR1. Just go through this document. If you find anything which requires the clarification, if you find anything which is not discussed during this course, we can definitely talk on that. Okay. Any questions before we proceed to next thing now? We'll proceed to S4 SD1 now.
Gaurav, did you share a document? I was seeing the Fiori app screen, but you were talking about a document, right?
No, I'm talking about a document, but I'm not sharing here. That is already, yeah, that is already shared with you. I'm just saying you that from that documentation perspective, most important that the slide which I shown you, one single slide. So that is explained in detail in that particular document, and whatever has been explained, we talked about. You just go through that document, and if you find a line or something which you're not able to understand, we'll definitely talk on that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, just give me a minute. Okay, now I'll start off with the innovations in SD. Okay, and similar to what we have done in case of procurement, we first discussed about the simplified data model. Okay, maybe in our case we started off with changes in master data first, and then actually we talked about the simplified data model, because master data in SD, it also comprises of the business partner and material. So that is something which we already discussed. We can skip that and we can directly go to the data model. Now, from the data model point of view, simplified data model means what? I'm again repeating. Simplified data model means the way in which data is going to save in the database. So for example, today, if I'm doing any transaction, there are 10 tables which are getting updated in the background. SAP has simplified that thing. Instead of 10 tables, only 2 or 3 tables will be updated, still without creating any kind of complications in the reporting. So most of the reports, even if the tables are not available, they will work as it is, with some exceptions. Definitely, as I told you, that is the reason we'll be using a tool called as custom code analyzer, which will tell you what is there any impact on your current reports. So maybe in today's session, you will get 1 or 2 tables which are going to create an impact, and the solution also. We'll talk about the solution also, how to resolve that kind of errors in the Z reports. Okay, so the way in which data is getting stored in the table, that is simplified data model. So now instead of 10 tables, let's say only 2 or 3 tables will be updated in the background. It is not always true. There are already some tables which are already at the minimum level. For example, we talked about master data tables, customer, vendor, material, not much of changes. Why? Because they are already simplified. But when it comes to the transactions, there are some unnecessary tables which are getting updated each time. That is the reason we need to remove that tables. We are not saying we will remove all tables and we'll just keep one table. We are saying wherever there is a redundancy, wherever there is a repetition, same data is getting stored at multiple places, there only we are going to remove the redundancy and we are going to store the data at one common place. Okay, so from SD point of view, very importantly, there are 2 status tables, VBUK and VBUP. Whenever you create any sales order, when you convert this sales order into delivery, and when you finally perform the billing for the sales order, in the entire life cycle of sales order, this VBUK, VBUP table will get on updated. So when you create a sales order, it will show you it is not processed. When you release the sales order, it will show you that released. When you process the delivery, it will show you that it has been delivered. When you complete, it will show you billed. Okay, that all kind of statuses are available in the status table. VBUK is for sales order header status, and VBUP is for sales order line level status. Not only sales order, sales document. So it can be delivery, it can be invoice, it can be billing. Now the question is, why do we need a separate status table when we already have a table for sales order, we already have a table for delivery, and finally we already have a table for billing? Why not the status field is directly available in this status fields are not available directly in these tables? That is something which SAP has changed now. So when we already have a sales order table which is having already some information related to sales order, why it is not holding the status information also? Now with SAP S4HANA, these 2 tables are no more required. VBUK and VBUP will not hold any kind of data. In VBUK, there were fields which were showing the status of sales order, delivery, and billing. So now whatever fields were relevant to sales order, they will be moved to table VBAK, which is sales order header table. Whatever fields were relevant to delivery, they will be moved to delivery header tables. And whatever fields were relevant to billing, they will be moved to billing header level tables. Okay, so in short, let's say if I have 50 different fields in VBUK and VBUP, out of 50, 15 are relevant to sales order, so they will move to sales order table. 20 are relevant to, let's say, delivery, they will be moved to delivery, and remaining fields are, let's say, relevant to billing, so they will be moved to billing document. Same thing is written. Status tables, VBUK, VBUP are not updated anymore. Status fields have been moved. Is there any disturbance? Just give me a minute. Okay, sorry, there was some disturbance, so I muted. Okay, so status tables, VBUK, VBUP are not updated anymore, and status fields have been moved to corresponding header and item tables. That is VBAK and VBAP for sales order, VBRK and VBRP for billing, LIKP and LIPS for deliveries. I'll talk about that, which tables, because I just written here the sales order tables, but if you go through the certification document, that will also tell you the correct picture. Okay, so let me show you this thing first, and then I'll move to this redundancies. Okay, anyways, we are going to create some sales orders for our company code, for our sales organization, but now just I'm showing you the status of these tables. So if I go for VBUK, this was my sales document header status and administrative data. Okay, the table is still available, but if I try to execute this to find out how many fields are, how many rows are available, okay, you will always get this answer, no values found. Okay, which means this table is not going to be updated anymore. So this is for header, and for line levels it is VBUP. If I click on number of entries, it is no values found. Okay, now what are the fields which are available in VBAK and VBUP? You can see these are all status: delivery status, overall delivery status, goods movement status, billing status, posting status. It is showing all the different kind of status for a particular sales document. Okay, so now whatever fields are remaining to sales order, they will move to sales order table, which is VBAP for sales order line items. Okay, so here earlier there were no fields relevant to status, but now if you see, if I just execute this, see this overall status, overall delivery status, block status. Okay, so these are all the status fields, okay, which were not available directly in VBAP earlier. All the statuses were available in one common table VBUP. Now, whatever content was available in VBUP, it has been divided into three tables. One is for sales order, second is for delivery. So whatever things were relevant to delivery, they are moved to table LIPS, which is delivery item data, and third one is VBRP, which is billing, item data for billing. Okay, so how many tables, sorry, how many fields are moved? That I'll show you in the next slide first. Yes, this is a complete information about VBUK and VBUP. So this is what was happening in ERP. The status values of transactional documents are not stored in the document tables themselves, but in the table VBUK for header and VBUP for item. To get the information about document along a process, always additionally we need to select from VBUK and VBUP, right? So if I go to table VBAP, and if I want to find the status, I cannot directly get in VBAP. I need to create another join, go to VBUK and find that information. So now in HANA, this will lead to additional joins. That is the reason the simplification is denormalization of the data model, bring the status values of the transactional document to the document tables itself. So from sales order point of view, whatever fields are available to sales order, they are moved from VBUK to VBAK, and whatever fields are available in VBUP to VBAP. From delivery point of view, LIKP is a header, LIPS is a line level information, and from billing point of view, VBRK and VBUP. Okay, but you can see from billing point of view, there were no fields in from the line level point of view. It was only from the header point of view. That is the reason there is no movement of VBUP to VBRP. And you can see the number of fields also here. So in ECC, VBUK was holding 81 fields. Now out of this 81 fields, 31 fields are moved to VBAK, 37 fields are moved to LIKP, and 5 fields are moved to VBRK. Okay, so if you count this, it may happen that this is not exactly 81. The reason is there are some unwanted fields which were not required, and there are some duplicate fields which are also not required. That is the reason this, it is not mandatory that this will always match with your VBUK table. So from VBUP point of view, out of 38 fields, 19 and 20. Now if you count this, this is 39. Out of 38, 39. The reason is there might be one field here which is required in both VBAP and LIPS also. That is the reason this is more. Okay, so in short, these tables are no more available, and whatever contents was available in this, they are moved here. Now the big question, if you already created a report, okay, you are using the system from last 10 years, you already created some report which is taking the data from VBUP. What will happen to that? Whether you will be able to execute that report as it is, or there is an adjustment required. So in case of VBUK and VBUP, there is no adjustment required. Okay, so your old report, which was trying to get the data from VBUK and VBUP, it will automatically go and fetch the information from corresponding tables, because this VBUK and VBUP now will be treating as a views. Whenever you ask any information from these tables, this will go to these other tables and fetch the information. Okay, and what about in your current VBUK table if you have added some custom fields? So SAP standard provides 81 fields, but in your system, let's say you added 5 more fields, which is making it 86. So how are those fields going to be updated in the new architecture? So that is something which will highlight in the custom code analyzer, and you need to take a corrective action. If you want to add those fields, you need to specify that fields needs to be added in VBAK, LIKP or VBRK. Okay, that you need to clarify, then only those new fields will be available in your main tables, which is VBAK, LIKP and VBRK. Clear on this? From reporting point of view, no need to worry. From technical point of view, these tables are available, but they are not going to be updated anymore. The content point of view, it has been divided into multiple tables. And finally, if you have written some, or if you have added some custom fields in these tables, what will be the impact? The impact will be whenever you are migrating to SAP S4HANA, you need to specify that, okay, these 5 fields are available in VBUK. How much of these fields should move to VBAK? How much of these fields should move to VBRK? Okay.
Gaurav, one question. If you have a custom program,
Mm-hmm.
code analyzer will correct that also. We have custom program where we are selecting from VBUP and VBUK, and will it adjust that automatically?
You mean the custom code analyzer?
Yeah.
No. See, custom code analyzer is not for adjustment. It is just for checking whether, let's say, if you have 20 reports which you created in ECC system, and now if I ask you to go and check all that 20 reports whether they will work in SAP S4 or not, if you will do it manually, okay, that is not something which the customer is looking for. Like manually, you'll never be able to know whether this program will work or not, right? So that is the reason SAP provided this custom code analyzer, so that you execute this report, custom code analyzer, you execute this report, and it will tell you that out of this 20 reports, how many reports will work as it is. So let's say system has identified that out of 20, 15 reports will work as it is without any change because corresponding view is available, or maybe there is no change at the table level. So let's say there was one report which was trying to get the data from VBAK. Okay, because there is no change in VBAK, there will not be any impact on that report. There was another report which was trying to get the data from VBUK. Okay, now because it was taking the data from VBUK, there is change in that, and system already knows the change. System already knows whatever fields are available in VBUK, they are now available in VBAK. So you don't need to worry, system will automatically cope up and it will tell you, okay, no impact because I know from where to pick the data. Now there is third kind of scenario where you created a report which is trying to get the data from one table. That one table is not at all available, and even a view is not available. So that will definitely result in error, right? When you run the custom code analyzer, this kind of reports will give you the error message that, okay, because this table is not available, this report cannot work. This will not automatically adjust. This will give you this message. This will tell you which table has a problem. Then you can decide how to rectify that, how to perform the adjustment that you have to do by involving your ABAPer. It will not automatically adjust. Got the point?
Yeah, thank you.
The last point, elimination of redundancies. Index tables. What are index tables now? Any idea what are this VAKPA, VAPMA? Two tables are relevant to say, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, to improve the selection performance, like reporting performance, is index
Yes, index tables. Yes, index tables in ECC, they improve the reporting performance. You're right. So VAKPA, VAPMA, these two tables are again sales order tables. Two tables, VLKPA and starting with VL, they are delivery, and starting with VR are billing document tables. Now, when you want to list down all the sales orders, which report all the sales orders, or maybe selection of sales orders, which report we use VA05, right? And where we specify the criteria based on which we want to see all the sales orders. The list displays all the sales orders, which is passing the selection criteria. Now, what do you think? The data comes from main table VBAP, sorry, header in terms of header VBAK? The answer is no. Which is the main SAP table for holding the sales order header information? It is VBAK. So every time, whenever I ask any information from sales order level, it should come from VBAK, right? If I want to know all the sales orders for a particular sales organization, I use report VA05. I entered the sales organization. When I executed, it is not going to VBAK today. In ECC, it is not going to VBAK. Instead of that, it is going to VAKPA, first table. Why? Because VBAK is my main table. It is keep on updating every time, and it is a very big table. I don't want to touch that. I don't want users again and again performing the reporting on that, because that is a cluster table and that will take a lot of time to execute the report, and my transactions will also suffer. So what should I do? So SAP came up with this performance improvement. They said, okay, don't touch VBAK directly. We'll create another copy of tables for you from where you can perform the reporting. So they created VAKPA. Similarly, for VBAP, they created VAPMA. For deliveries, they created this different tables. So what are these tables? These tables are only adding unnecessarily redundancies, repetitions. Whatever information is available in VBAP, VAKPA is just a subset of that. So in VBAK, if I have 30 fields, in VAKPA, I'll just pick 5 fields out of that, which are used for the reporting purpose, so that every time I don't want this 30 fields to come, only 5 fields will come. Okay, so this type of redundancies are available in the system. Now with SAP S4HANA, these redundancies are eliminated, which means that there is no need of any index tables. They are directly coming from main tables, that is VBAP. Whenever you run a report, it should automatically come from main table instead of any index tables. So these index tables are completely removed. Okay, so if you see now, let me show you one thing. If I go for VAKPA, sorry, I need to go to SE11. Just give me a minute. Let me find out. Display. Can you see this? I'll tell you what exactly I mean. VAKPA is a transparent table. Okay, this table is automatically redirecting to this physical table, which is V underscore VAKPA underscore CDS. Okay, so let me just copy this. This is a view, and the data is coming from these different views again. See, let me tell you what I've done. If you remember, earlier we had a discussion how to find out whether a table is a view or a table. Do you remember that? Or do you want me to explain once again? Okay, I'll explain once again. I don't think you remember that. If I want to know a particular table is a table or a view. So let's say, for example, if I want to know whether BSEG or maybe MATDOC display, go to extra, runtime object, display. Okay, here you can see there is no another table which is calling in background. There is no view, right? MATDOC is directly calling all these fields, which means these fields are directly available in MATDOC. So this is my main table. On the other hand, if I call this VAKPA and click on display, if I go to this utilities and runtime object display, you can see here the physical table is something else. This is not a physical table. This is just available as a object, but this is not storing the data in itself. Where the data is stored, whenever you ask any information from VAKPA, it will go to this view. Okay, and what this view will do? If I copy this, if I go to SE11 once again, this is my view. If I click on display, from where this view will bring the data, so I can go in tables and find out which other tables are used. So still it is view. So one view is calling another view in the background. If I again double click on view, go to tables, finally I can see the data is coming from VBAK. This is the main table, right? Let me come again slowly. Okay. Let me open the notepad. This is very important to understand. Earlier, there were multiple tables. I'm talking about ECC. Let's say, for example, we had VBAK. Okay, this VBAK was not sufficient. On top of VBAK, we had VAKPA and VA. Okay, so this is, let's say this is a table, VAKPA. So VBAK, if it consists of 30 fields, out of that 30 fields, VAKPA was an index table which was storing the data as the subset. Like if there were 30 fields, let's say this was only storing 10 fields. Okay, but this was storing physically. So let's say if this was consuming 30 GB of memory, VAKP was consuming, let's say, 10 GB of memory. So unnecessarily repetition of data. Now in S4HANA, what they have done is VBAK, let's say again 30 fields. Okay, I'm not coming to VBUK. If you want that also I can include VBAK, including new fields of VBUK. Okay, so total fields are 40. Let's say 10 fields are coming from VBUK. Now, according to this logic, if this was 30 GB, this should be more than 30 GB, but not. Let's say it is only 10 GB. Why? Because of the compression. SAP S4HANA has a capability of storing the data in the form of columns, and that too under the compression. So database size has been reduced. On top of that, whatever data was available in VAKPA, Again, it has 10 fields. Same 10 fields, but 0 GB. Why? When it was 10 GB here, why there is 0 GB here? The reason is earlier this VAKPA was a table. Every time, whenever you ask any information from here, it was giving from the same table. It was not going back to VBAK to ask what is available. VAKPA was directly giving you whatever information is available. Okay. Now, because there is no data in VAKPA, whether it will result in error? No, it will not result in error. So what it will do, whenever you ask any information from VAKPA, it will go in the real time. VAKPA, whenever you ask any information, if you see here, there is a runtime object. The runtime object is different. So whenever you ask any information from this table, it will go to this table first. Okay, so it will go to here. Again, if you see what this will do, this will go back to this view. Okay, again, it is using another view here. So I'm copying this. So it will go to this view. And ultimately, if I double click here, tables, I can see ultimately data is coming from VBAK. So this will call VBAK during the report. What was happening here? At the time of report, it has nothing to do with VBAK. It was directly picking the data from here because it is having 10 GB of data. Here there is no data at all. So in order to pick the data, it is first redirecting to this view. This view is redirecting to another view. And finally, the data is coming from VBAK. So whatever 30 GB of data, or 10 GB now, because it is compressed. So 10 GB of data can serve the purpose which was earlier being done by 40 GB of data, and that too unnecessarily consuming memory, unnecessarily having lot of different tables. That is not no more required now. Okay, you got this idea what is the difference between a table and a view? If you remember earlier, I shown you another thing. In order to identify whether a table is a view or a table, let's say for example, if I go to SE11 once again, and if I write BSIS, which was a table earlier in ECC, now this is a view. How to identify? If I click on display, it is directly showing me as a view field. It is not showing tables. This is thing which I told you last time. If you want to find out whether the table is a table or a view, you just go here in the view fields. If it is showing view fields, it will automatically show you which table is being called in the background. So it is calling BKPF and BSEG in the background. Okay, so this is my view that you can identify here itself. But what about this VAKPA? If I go with that logic, if I click on display, it is still showing me as a table. Okay, it is not showing as a view. So there is another logic here. If it is not view here, go to utilities and find out the runtime object. So what is happening is, even though this is appearing as a table, whenever you are asking any information, it is not coming directly from this table. It is going to this view. Okay, and this view is getting the data from VBAK only. So this is another kind of view. These are called as CDS views. Got this point? Is it clear? So now all these 6 tables that we are talking about, let me go back to PPT. All these 6 tables, 2 tables relevant to sales order, 2 tables relevant to delivery, and 2 tables relevant to billing, they are available as the views. Okay, forget about this target architecture. This PPT I created in terms of 1511. So this is now in 1610, even in 1511 now, these are directly available as the views. They are no more the tables. Okay, so elimination of redundancy means physical data which was stored in these tables, it is not going to be available now. It will completely It will be completely free. There will be 0 GB, 0 MB of data which will be stored in these tables now. Every time when you ask any information from VAKPA, it will, in the background, it will go and find the data from VBAK for you. Clear or confusing? If it is confusing, tell me, I can make it more clear if you want. I can explain it again.
That's clear for me.
Clear?
Yeah, thank
Anybody wants me to explain this? This is very important. I want everybody to understand this because the entire SAP S4HANA is built upon this one, CDS views. That is the reason reportings will be slower. That is the reason it is now possible to integrate BW directly in the system. That is the reason we are talking about BI, charts and all. They are all available here because these things, views were not available earlier. It was directly consuming from tables, which was very huge tables. That is the reason it was not possible till now in ECC to create all these charts and bars directly in the same system. Now, because of the CDS views, the compression, everything, now all these things are possible directly in the main system. So entire thing, whatever reporting you are going to do in the background, earlier it was coming directly from table, it was consuming a lot of memory. Now everything is view. So you just ask any information, it will go to the view will transfer, let's say, to another view, and finally data will come directly from main tables. So there is no more redundancy required to unnecessarily store more amount of memory in the database.
What does the
Yes, Sandeep.
what does it stand for, CDS?
Core data services. HANA core data services. So this is the terminology which is being used interchangeably. So in some of the documents you'll find HANA views. Some of the documents it will only say you views, and some of the documents you'll find CDS views.
Okay.
Yes, Sandeep, you're asking something?
Yes, Gaurav. Actually, if you can explain me those, I mean, I could able to understand the getting the data from the views, but whereas occupying the space from the main table to the VAKPA, those space related. I mean, finally we are getting from the main table that is VBAK, but instead of getting is multiple views into the, and again finally reaching to the main table to get the data, will that be not time related? Much information will be taken,
No.
or it will be a slow receiving when we take that get the data from the.
No. Yes, I can understand your concern. Your concern is, let's say earlier, whenever I was requesting a data, it was directly available in one table. So it was directly giving me the data. Now, if I'm asking the data, it is going to the first view, then it is getting passed to another, then third, maybe 10 different views in the background, and finally I'm getting the data. So is it going to be the time consuming? The answer is
Yes.
no, because earlier, whatever tables were available, most of the tables were cluster tables. The cluster tables are the slowest tables. Now with SAP HANA, most of the tables are transparent. That is the main idea behind this concept. So the processing time is not much. Okay, if you talk about in terms of, let's say earlier the table was cluster table, although the data was available in one table, whenever I was asking for information, let's say it was taking 60 or 30 seconds, for example, because the table was hugely occupied and it was being used in the background for many transactions. It was getting 30 seconds. Now with SAP S4HANA, it can come down to less than 10 seconds. Although it is redirecting to different tables, but the nature of the tables are transparent tables. All this HANA compression and all this is all bringing it to the fastest speed. So you answer your question, it will not make any difference whether the data is coming from one table or it is coming from via different redirections and finally from the last table.
Thank you, Gaurav.
Okay, with this, I think we should stop today because although we are not took much time, but we spoke about a lot of things. So what I am expecting is maybe till next week you take a time in to read through SAP PR1 document which I told you, and tomorrow we'll continue with this SD processes. There are some more things which we need to discuss from practically point of view. We need to talk about the credit management functionality. We need to talk about some other theoretical topics also, like revenue recognition is not available and all those things. So that will complete tomorrow. Any questions before we close today?
Gaurav, Sandeep here. So these topics are there in ST S4 SD1?
Yes. Whatever we started today, they are available
Okay.
in SD1.
Okay.
See, if you start reading SD1, at least first 30% of the document is exactly same as PR1. So it is only talking about what is HANA, how HANA is better, how are the Fiori apps, the business partner concept, which we already discussed. So first 30-40% you are already covered when we talked about S4H01 and procurement. First 30-40% is already covered. So we are just left with the 60%. The new things which were not in PR1, which are only in SD1, that is something which we'll concentrate tomorrow.
And Gaurav, the other thing is like when I'm trying to access to the Fiori apps, I'm unable to get connected and throwing some error, and I've sent it to you Gaurav, last week. Can you to look into that?
Maybe instead of sending me, if that is a technical thing, if you are getting some error in terms of functionality or the technical error.
I really don't know. It's not a functionality. I'm going to the when I go to the SAP and click the Fiori one, then I'm unable to enter into that screen itself. So Fiori one. So it's like a technical one. It's a connectivity API, something like that. So I really don't know whom to contact.
Yeah, I think Krishna will be the right person to contact. Okay, can you tell me which Fiori app you are trying so that I can see if it is working for me? Any particular, if you remember?
1 second. I think it's showing as a your connection is not private, that because on the SAP ECC,
okay. Yes, Sandeep, I got your point. That is a very common error. Okay, I remember I got that mail, but sorry, I forgot to reply on that. Just 1 minute.
No problem.
Just 1 minute. Let me see if that error comes to me now. See, that is a very common error in Internet Explorer, even in the Google Chrome. If okay, are you open now? Have you opened that screen now? I may not get that screen here.
Not yet. Just give me.
Can you just open? Let me see if I'm getting that error. No, I'm directly getting the screen.
I can do one thing, instead of waiting everyone, probably I'll retry it and send out an email.
No, we are done, Sandeep. So I just want to solve this because yeah, no issues. We are done. If anybody has any other questions, you can ask in the meantime.
Yeah, I have a question. I will ask after this.
Okay.
Hey, Gaurav.
Yes.
Sort of syllabus, the things you do like.
Sorry, your voice is not clear.
Sorry. Is there some syllabus? These are the topics. These weeks.
No, your voice is not clear. Maybe let Sandeep, can you mute yourself for a bit time being?
Sure.
Yes, please go ahead now.
Yeah. No, if there is some sort of a, syllabus, like some topics that you are covering.
Mm-hmm.
Like this week we are covering these items, and next week these items.
Okay, you want to know the what exactly we are going to talk about. So I think over next 2 or 3 sessions, we are going to focus on SD. Okay, so within SD, as I told you, tomorrow it will be I think half of the session will be theoretical because I need to tell you what functionalities are available, which are gone. And then once we start with the practical, we need to understand the output management for billing. We need to understand the new credit management functionality. So that is going to take around 2 or maybe 3 sessions. Okay, after that, we'll again go through the document, SD document, like whether we missed anything or what. And then finally, we'll start with MRP Live. So I think next week or maybe next week's second day, let's say Sunday, we'll be starting with MRP Live. It will take 2 to 3 sessions on MRP Live and all the PP activities. Once that is done, then we will start with the conversion project. So 3 to 4 sessions will be required for conversion.
That's fine, Gaurav. Something, if you have it written down, even if you just show it on the screen here, that would be great.
You can just refer to this one. I think.
I missed.
Do you have the demo PPT? Do you have that? I'm following that same thing.
Afraid not. I missed a few classes, so probably.
Okay. Okay, so maybe I'll give you this information tomorrow. I don't have handy, so I'll just write that and I'll show it to you tomorrow.
All right. Are you using any email to the students, or if you can it, that'd be great.
Yes. Yes, I'm writing it in the chat screen.
I'm afraid I may be missing the class tomorrow, so email is fine.
Yeah, I'll just drop me the mail. I'll send it to you on the email also. This is my email ID.
Okay.
Gaurav, this is Saji. You said like a PR1 document and SD document. Is it shared? I see only the recorded sessions in the SharePoint or like the Google Drive. Is there anything?
Let me check with Krishna. If it is not shared, I'll ask him to share.
Okay, because I see only the recorded sessions.
I'll check with him.
Okay.
Yes, Gaurav, Sandeep here, and still I'm getting the same error, Gaurav.
Yes. So are you getting on the lower left? There is advanced options.
That's right, advanced options.
Yeah, click on that, and then there is a button. Proceed. There is a link. Proceed anyways.
Okay, unsafe. Yeah. Now I can get it. Okay.
Yes. That is a very normal error for any web browser. So if the connection is not private, it asks you whether you want to continue or not.
That's right. Thank you.
Okay, so let's close today and we'll meet again tomorrow with the remaining SD topics. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.